Endgame by Beckett, a teaching approach through an escape room. The contents of this presentation are the following. First of all, an introduction. Point 2 is learning culture and literature through an escape room. Point 3 is the analysis of the result, and point 4 is the conclusion. Endgame by Beckett is a play in which the author gave full rein to his obsession about the end of civilization, humanity in ruins, and physical decrepitude. Although there are no references to historical events in the text, the play nevertheless contains vague echoes of a particular period of the 20th century history, the Cold War years. The aim of this paper is to expose a methodological approach in order to present this difficult text to students in the literature class at tertiary level. Our intention is to demonstrate that by studying the ideological environment in which the play was written, the students will obtain the necessary tools to interpret the text in an adequate manner. Our results will prove that after the activity that it was proposed in this essay, a virtual escape room, students can distinguish the main topics under discussion and that a high level of motivation is achieved. Additionally, our approach puts special emphasis in raising the awareness towards environmental disasters. The plot of the play can be simply stated. Two male characters, an older one, Ham, and his younger servant, Clove, spent their final days in a sort of bunker. Outside, the whole civilization has vanished and nature, too, seems to have collapsed. Some kind of cataclysm must have happened, although this is not clarified in the text. The two protagonists suffer from severe physical ailments. Ham is an invalid, and Clove's mobility is also impaired. Two secondary characters, Nak and Nell, who are Ham's parents, live in dustbins inside the bunker. In order to introduce the play to the students of a literature class corresponding to the English study degree at the University of Almería, an activity consisting of an escape room was implemented at the beginning of the sessions dealing with the work of this particular author. The students in the class had to gather in small groups and were faced with the presentation of a number of tasks, mainly dealing with the understanding of the historical parameters in the Western world in the aftermath of the Second World War. Two questionnaires before and after the activity were put forward to the students in order to assess their correct understanding of the play and the level of engagement they developed with the text. Our exposition will go through the different stages of this activity, and we will finally expose the advantages that can be achieved by using this type of gamification in the literature class. In a constantly changing world, education has been forced to keep up with the rhythm of technological innovation and adapt itself to the strains of the COVID pandemic situation. During lockdown, the pandemic period, and later toward the period of adaptation to the new normal, class dynamics have been severely affected, with students collaborating less with their peers and practicing only occasional skills such as negotiation and communication. Gamification, conjugated with the use of new technologies, has acted as a panacea in many scenarios, establishing itself firmly in a sector in need of profound transformations. Although the origins of the escape rooms within this paradigm of gamification are somehow diffuse, research places them back in 2007, coinciding with what was incipient expansion that games would acknowledge later from 2010 onwards. An educational escape room can be defined as an action game in real time in which a group of players or several groups of players solve a series of puzzles or problems based on the curricular contents studied throughout the course or during a particular period of time. The gamified experience may take place either in one or more rooms decorated with elements such as props and realia that can add authenticity to the setting of the escape room and add an extra dimension to learning due to their possible cultural references, costumes, and any other types of complements that might recall the theme of the escape room, worn either by the game master or by the students, accomplish the same function. Not only these elements of the educational game should be carefully planned for a full experience, but also the whole escape room. Before implementing an escape room in class, the teacher must design it considering the curricular's contents, put into very specific objectives, capture it and structure in various challenges that must be solved by students before the stopwatch gets to 0. The countdown is only one of the elements that make an escape room an exciting and motivating class task. One of the most highlighted aspects nowadays in the world of education is precisely this need of fomenting intrinsic motivation, as studies emphasize the obsolescence of the teacher-centered approach and the ineffectiveness of the over-reliance on traditional forms of content delivery in class. Definitely, motivation in literature class and university level is not an easy packed and digested concept. Overburdened by concepts, styles of learning, types of text, dates and years, countless names and authors and titles of their works, students struggle to remember the most of information, at times with little or no success at all. Previous experiences based on this type of gamified activity design and based on literary contents highlight their usefulness along with the improvement of students' participation, teamwork and engagement regarding the course contents, both on theoretical and practical levels. Consequently, the current study is a replica of this modus operandi, although the present paper centers attention on how transversal contents related with a wide plethora of fields, such as culture, society, history, can also be learned by using literature written in the English classroom at the university level. Educational escape rooms have become lately one of the favorite gamified activities for both students and teachers. This is definitely not surprising if considering that this form of entertainment brings to the class multiple benefits, no matter the subject under consideration. The use of escape rooms, together with that of the new technologies, transform activities into memorable and multidimensional experiences fit for the different types of learners: visual, kinesthetic, auditory, tactile, analytic, and global alike. Students set into motion their capacity to learn by doing and critical thinking by being exposed to situations where time, its optimal and proper management and collaborative work are key. Unlike in other class settings, therefore, the dependence on the educator as a facilitator of knowledge is almost totally reduced, as the figure of the latter is relegated toward the game master, the one of who provides help in the forms of clues if needed. As a consequence, student self-awareness, autonomy, resourcefulness, creativity, engagement, and motivation are boosted. Moreover, and now I'm quoting, the review of previously grasped concepts and contents such as historical events, literary figures and works, or social cultural aspects in classes where literature is taught at the university level provides the educator with an amalgam of themes for their escape rooms. End of the quotation. Escape rooms are not in the world and stories, and consequently that of literature, the history or the story or the narrative on which the escape room can be based, and now I'm quoting again, creates a setting for the game and makes the escape room much more credible. In this way, players will be more committed to their mission, and the contextualization of the game will transport them into the world of fantasy that the educator builds. In the case of escape room experiences discussed in this paper, which consists of 4 challenges, a webpage has been created using simplesci.com, where the fragment presented later was posted. Here, students have been provided with some biographical information on the life of the Irish author Samuel Beckett, a summary of the play and game, and information on what students are expected to accomplish, that is, their mission. This short fragment was read by the game master in class. However, this story or narrative could have been delivered using a voice recorder while music related to the theme of the escape room was playing in the background. It could have been also sent via email to the different teams of students in the form of virtual notification or delivered in class in a customized envelope containing a letter with a written version. Since COVID restrictions were still on force at the moment when this escape room was implemented, the challenges were both sent and received via email. Challenge 1, as it can be observed in the text presented later, offers students additional historical information on a context marked by uncertainty and fear in which the play was written, that is, that of the Cold War, while asking them to research and widen their knowledge on the period by looking for catastrophes that might have also inspired Beckett to write Endgame. In the case of Challenge 2, students must focus on the life of the author and on the event that has marked his personal history and which permeates the plot of this play. Challenge 3 comes with a very different approach and sets into motion other skills than those work in Challenges 1 and Challenge 2 by asking learners to reconstruct the story of one of the characters, Ham, and establish connections between his life experiences and Ireland's context. Challenge 3 is as enriching as the previous two puzzles, since it asks students to delve into one of the most disruptive and obscure historical, social and cultural events that took place in Ireland of the 19th century, the Great Irish Famine, 1845 to 1852. As for Challenge 4, the last of this escape room, here attention is centered on the play and its understanding by students, since it explores one of the traits of Beckett's works, pessimism in relation to the idea of bringing new life into the world. Next section, analysis of the results, will explore students' perception in relation to this activity based on Samuel Beckett's Endgame. Once analyzed the theoretical background of gamification and in particular escape rooms in education and the benefits or drawbacks of using this methodology in the classroom, this section will describe and assess an actual case of the use of an escape room experience in English literature classroom. This experience aimed to add extra value to regular English literature sessions to evaluate the improvements of students' active participation, teamwork and engagement regarding the course's contents, both theoretical and practical. Moreover, the context of the English literature classroom provides an innovative approach to the pedagogical dynamics of escape rooms, since there is scientific evidence that this kind of resource has been used as an educational tool lately. Since this experience was carried out in 2021 when tertiary education sessions were present-based again after the COVID-19 crisis, although of course with restrictions, this escape room experience was designed to be done in the classroom by educators and facilitators and by extension students. This section's main purpose is to analyze quantitatively and qualitatively the impact of the use of the escape room experience and the students' degree of motivation in the English literature classroom. The sample group of this intervention was composed of 57 undergraduate students between 20 and 30 years old. 72% of them are female and 27.7% of them are male enrolled in the fourth year of the degree in English Studies. The course in which this experiment was done belonged to the fourth and last year of this degree, as it is part of the regular academic load in a Spanish university. The sample was selected because of its accessibility to the researchers and because of a considerable number of students who were not motivated to learn English literature. The experiment took place after 6 weeks of the beginning of the semester, which approximately 2 hours to solve the escape room, reviewing the main contents previously thought related to Samuel Beckett's Endgame. The first half an hour of the intervention was devoted to presenting the escape room rules and functionality and answering the students' queries. The escape room experience consisted of 4 challenges, each only accessible after the completion of the previous one, thus the structure of the escape room was sequential. All challenges were set in the historical context of the author and related to the text of the play. The challenges included a variety of activities such as research and close reading of the play. Participants were pushed not only to search for answers related to the materials, which allowed them to properly review contents, but also to extend their knowledge by seeking information from other sources, websites, audiovisual contents, books, and other publications. Before the experiment, all participants filled out a survey comprising 10 close-ended questions on a 1 to 5 scale, investigating students' motivational approach to enthusiasm towards literature, lesson at tertiary level, and traditional and current teaching methodologies. Students were asked about their degree and interest in gamification as a tool to study English literature. Similarly, a post-intervention survey comprising 10 close-ended questions on a 1 to 5 scale was designed to assess the impact of the tool on the students' acquisition and learning processes. insisting upon the degree of stimulation and significance of the content of the activities, the usability of the tool after the experiment, and whether the students would recommend this teaching practice for the assimilation of contents related to English literature. The results of the pre-intervention survey revealed that 71.9% of the participants had previously read the play before doing the escape room in the classroom, and 72% believed that knowing the historical period helped understand the literary work much better. However, regarding gamification as a pedagogical tool, a percentage of 87.7% believed that learning through games is useful to strengthen their knowledge related to course contents and prefer games to traditional learning styles. The post-experiment survey aims at posing questions related to the escape room experience and its impact on the students' motivation when studying English literature and Beckett's Endgame in particular. Most participants considered that studying English literature with escape rooms was useful and helped students more able to understand the play. Additionally, the activity in the classroom was resolved as successful since 68.7% of the respondents declared that they have enjoyed their participation. The experiment seems to have affected their attitude towards English literature classes about the author in particular, as 64.7% of them claimed that they would like to know more about the historical context in which the play was situated. Finally, students felt that learning through such games would be beneficial for their learning. Students' answers seem to reinforce that the use of gamification in general and escape rooms experiences in particular is a predominantly valuable and encouraging tool to teach English literature at tertiary level. Any teacher of English literature at some point during the academic year will face the dilemma of engaging his or her students in the reading and appreciation of the compulsory text of the course, creating, therefore, attractive activities to be done in class without distorting the fundamental meanings of the text in question, that is, without letting the literary work become depreciated. The methodological approach presented in this unit, based on the development of an escape room, does offer the opportunity to introduce the basic elements of the literary work, in this case a playwright by the Irish playwright Samuel Beckett, without exhausting the deep issues that are raised by the author. We believe that the activity does fulfill the function of presenting the text to the students accurately, introducing the context both at a personal and a global level in which it was written, and most importantly, paving the way for a close analysis of this and other works by the same author. The non-specialized nature of English literature, based on the common assumption that virtually anyone can read and make comment on literary texts, finds, thanks to this type of activities, a way to establish firm parameters for literary appreciation in class, giving at the same time the opportunity to the students to be creative and respond actively to challenges such as environmental disasters and the future of endangered communities. Samuel Beckett's work is particularly suited to raise global concerns and to articulate them through a literary text, which is this type of play. The activity that has been exposed in this paper was conceived as a way to keep a grip on the students' imagination during the COVID pandemic. The global spread of the virus during the months of lockdown exposed the reality of our situation as species, our fragility, our need for community. In this sense, the words of Peter Boxall at the University of Sussex provide critical support to our choice of Beckett as the most appropriate author to transmit to our students a point of reference in understanding through literature the reality of our lives during the pandemic. Once the features of the world are erased, one can see the mechanism of the world itself, and if Beckett's works might offer one way of conceiving of a bridge between before and after, one world and the next, then this is perhaps because his writing too proceeds as a form of revelation through erasure. The pandemic scrapes away the particular surface to reveal a generic understructure and the undifferentiated raw materials of being. Beckett's works, his plays, his novels, his pieces for television, all proceed in the same fashion. Who could read Endgame now or watch it on YouTube and not see it as a representation of self-isolation? Thank you for your attention.